Good morning. You're now listening to Kingston Community Radio, airing on FM 92.5 and AM 920 WGHQ, Kingston, New York. This programming is brought to you by our listeners and corporate underwriters who are interested in presenting local community radio. The opinions expressed on this program do not represent those of Pommel Broadcasting or Kingston Community Radio. Listeners are encouraged to send in $10 per month to help bring this program to you. Mail your contributions to Kingston Community Radio, Post Office Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. For more information or to donate online, visit our website at mykcr.org. Good morning. And this is Dan Gatis, and bringing you in to Kingston Community Radio today, 7 to 9 a.m. We have a terrific Tuesday, November 2nd, 39 degrees starting out today, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm your host, Smokey Colbert, filling in for Smokey because after 75 years of...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Turns out there's much more to say. Nearly 90% of wildfires are caused by us humans being careless, dumping our used barbecue coals willy-nilly. Guess the song was wrong. We did start the fire. That's why I respect Mother Nature and her trees, whether coniferous or new car scented. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is George Post from Postupack, New York, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you. Where else can you speak to your local representatives on the air and have your questions answered? So thank you, and support KCR.
And we're back. You're with us here on 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and streaming online at mykcr.org. Our phone number is 331-9255. 331-9255 is your call-in number. Cloudy a little bit today, but with a high of 54. Some clouds this evening, giving way to mainly clear skies overnight. A low of 32 tonight. And so gardeners, be aware. And Wednesday, the high is 52 with a nice sunny day. And Wednesday night, partly cloudy, a low near 30. And then Thursday, partly cloudy again with a high around 50. We're getting into those fall temperatures. And winds light and variable. And Thursday, a few clouds with a low of 29. So it's dropping a little. Let's get to the on-air studio with Nina Postupack and Cameron Rylance.
Good morning.
Good morning. And what is today, Cameron?
It is election day.
It is.
Yeah, and boat. I'm going right from here.
Yeah, me too.
I'm getting the dog and going to work. So.
Yeah, same thing. So everybody out there that's listening, please make sure either go to your polling place, or if you had your absentee ballot, hopefully you mailed it in by now. Yes, absolutely.
The headline in the paper today, thousands vote in early voting.
Yes, yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Which is great.
5,500.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember elections where like only that many people voted in Ulster County.
I know.
Early.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see the numbers, but also we beat the state average of the percentage of people voting too. So we had a higher percentage voting than the state average. So that's great. Ulster County is engaged in the election process, which is a good thing.
Although a little bit misleading, Democrats outnumber Republicans 5-1. Well, that's because I think there's 5 times as many more Democratic candidates than Republican candidates.
And plus the number, I think the Democrats outnumber the Republicans 2-1 also. So that always makes a difference. Yeah. That's for sure.
I mean, there's a bunch of uncontested races,
There is. There's so many uncontested races. Yeah. Very sad weekend. We lost, speaking of politics and election, two very important people. Yes, Alice Tipp. Alice Tipp was, 98 years old. God bless her.
The legislature for
30 years. First woman ever elected to the legislature. I had the opportunity to work with Alice for quite a few years, part of the Women's Republican Club. I had to say, Alice really paved the way for women. She really was a role model. I know when I was president of the Women's Republican Club, she really came before me and taught me a lot. And when you look at her obituary and the things that she's accomplished over her lifetime.
When was she first elected?
I want to say 1980, maybe.
80, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was still living here when she was a politician, so I sort of moved away after college.
Okay.
So yeah, it was definitely,
In the 80s, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So condolences to her and her family. But what a wonderful life, 98 years old. And I understand she just passed away in her sleep. So, yeah. So, our condolences to Cheryl and Walter and Cheryl's husband, Jim, and her grandson, Jim, also James, our condolences. And then we lost another, Roger Rasco, who is the chairman of the Ulster County Republican Committee, and that was sudden.
Very sudden.
Very, very sudden.
Right?
Yeah, he has a camp upstate. He's a big hunter and fisherman, and very, very sad. 69 years old, way too young. And was chairman of the Republican Party for 11 years here in Ulster County, and another public servant that devoted, so many years of his life to community causes and to the Republican Party, and he'll really be missed, truly missed. And to his wife Jane and his family and his extended family, we wish our condolences to them. Also extend our condolences. And election day, 2 days, 3 days before election day to have something like that happen. Yeah, just so hard on the family and on everyone. So, you're thankful, right, Cameron, every day?
Every day's a blessing.
That's right. Every day we wake up, we thank God. Yeah, that's for sure. So everybody, get out and vote. I know Tony Marmo on his show has had quite a bit on the propositions. Yes. People coming to speak from the Board of Elections in regard to the propositions and so forth, and I know we've mentioned it on numerous occasions. So when you go into the voting booth today, flip over that ballot and vote on those propositions also. Please don't forget to do that. Very important. So, and of course, the Freeman's great as far as they give you your polling places. So if you're not sure where to go vote, you can, the Daily Freeman has it listed. You can go on the Ulster County Board of Elections website. You can call the Board of Elections to find out your polling places, but they normally don't change from year to year.
Yeah,
so
pretty steady.
They are. Yeah, so we go to ARC right on Albany Avenue. Where do you vote?
Oh, really? Yeah, ARC? Huh. I voted Midtown, Andy Murphy Center.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's convenient, too.
Yeah. Yep.
Easy. And thank goodness, normally there's not many lines or waiting times, so.
Well, with so many people voting early.
Now they're definitely
skate right in today.
I know.
Maybe after work. Maybe, but during the day, you'd probably be able to walk right in. So.
Yeah. So Cameron, we talk about football a lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to tell you our family football story for this weekend.
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as everybody knows, Dwayne went to Kings Point to the Merchant Marine Academy, graduated from there, and played football at the Merchant Marine Academy. So my son Drew went to Springfield College. He didn't play football, but he went to Springfield College, and his wife went to Springfield College. So this past weekend, the Merchant Marine Academy, which, by the way, the coach of the Merchant Marine Academy graduated with Dwayne and played football with Dwayne.
Oh, cool.
And the offensive coach went to Springfield with Drew and graduated with Drew on the Merchant Marine on the Kings Point team. So we went for the conference championship between Springfield and the Merchant Marine Academy.
Where was that
game?
Of
course it's Springfield.
Springfield, okay.
So we had a little division in the family which side we're going to sit on. But of course, which side do you think we ended up on? The Merchant Marine side, of course.
You had the car keys.
Yeah, right. We had no choice, right?
Right home.
So it was a great game. It was so close, conference championship, and go ahead, take a guess. What do you think?
Merchant Marines.
Yeah, Springfield, and the Merchant Marines went 8-1, so they were undefeated.
Wow!
And so was Springfield. So great game, a lot of fun, but it rained up in Springfield the whole time.
Oh, gosh.
So we had our big golf umbrellas. It reminded me of the year we went to the Giants game and it poured, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What in Springfield, Massachusetts? So it wasn't that far. It was
No, 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours, and it was nice because it was a Alumni Hall of Fame weekend at Springfield. So Drew and Nikki saw a lot of their people that
that's
they
cool.
knew, and
That's great.
it was nice to be back on campus. This year was 10 years or coming up 10 years
Drew
since
met
they
his
graduated.
Wife at
College.
In college. Oh,
Yep.
that's cool. Nice.
Yeah.
So they had mutual friends there. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so that was really nice. So a lot of fun. Great family day together, and
I didn't think the Merchant Marine Academy was big enough to have a football team.
yeah, they do.
That's
Yep.
down in Queens, or
Yes. Yep. Queens. Yeah. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. So there's Maritime, which is the state academy, and then the Merchant Marine Academy is over in Long Island at Kings Point. So it's right outside of like Garden City, New Hyde Park, over in that area. So it's on
that's
Long
cool.
Island. The state Maritime is in Queens.
Okay.
They're right across the water from each other.
Huh.
Long Island Sound, I guess.
Yep.
So Division III.
Well, it was fun
Yeah.
though. Conference championship though. That's
Yeah,
good.
so anyway, it was a
How was
fun
your
weekend.
Halloween? Busy?
Oh my God, Cameron, we had so many
Really?
kids. My sister had to turn off her light at 6 o'clock because she had over 450 pieces of candy.
What?
Oh, you can't even imagine. We were so
No,
busy. Oh my God, we ran out of candy. Yeah, it was like unbelievable. I've never seen so many people. A lot of people not from the neighborhood, and they
Well,
would come over and
Yeah.
park like
well, you
in
got
the
a great
armory.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know,
The Little League there.
It's flat. It's
There's
and
sidewalks.
people
And,
participating. It's
and it was so beautiful out, right?
no traffic. It's not like it's on a road. Well, they're all on roads, but it's not like it's a
Major.
travel road.
Yes.
So
And a lot of people set up tables, chairs,
Oh, and the-
spooky music,
That's
the whole
cool.
bit
Yeah,
outside.
yeah.
How about you guys?
yeah, we actually the busiest Halloween like ever on Fair
Right?
Street. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been growing. There's a lot more kids in the area. Washington, Clinton, whatever. And we've had several houses on the block have had decorations up for a while. So but it was nice. It was cool. Ran out of candy.
Oh,
and-
wow.
And some person. We're hanging out, giving out candy, relaxing, and we had dinner cooking at the same time at like 6:30 or so, 6 o'clock. Like we're hungry. That's it. 15-minute breaks. Put the bowl. I had a big bowl. Put it on the bottom of my steps and went inside. Ate quick. Came back outside. The bowl was gone. The whole bowl, candy and the bowl itself. And it was my good, like my big salad, my stainless steel
Your
mixing bowl.
nice bowl.
I was like, son of a
Oh.
gun. That's not what I said, but I was like,
Yeah.
dang it. Look at yesterday. It's Monday morning. Yeah, yesterday. When I drive to work, I was looking for it. I guess I discarded it. I guess they brought it home.
They did.
I can
That was a
imagine-
nice stainless steel bowl, I am
some-
sure.
Here's my hypothesis. Some parents or whatever were with their kids and they're going and my parent was like, Junior, I need a bowl like that. Grab that bowl, the whole bowl. Just come on, grab it. Let's go.
So they got that nice bowl. I always say, hopefully somebody who really needed the bowl.
Yeah,
right?
they better enjoy it.
I did notice, though, that the kids were so polite this year.
Really? Good.
Yeah, really polite. And they didn't want to walk across the lawn. They tried to come across the driveway. And we're like, no, just come across the lawn. But just thank you. Happy Halloween.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, really very polite. So other than the person stealing your bowl.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So I ran out of candy after that. 7-ish, probably, whatever. Sitting there watching TV, 8:30, knocking on the door, kids, trick or treat. Lights were out,
Oh, my God.
I'm like, sorry, kids, but I ain't got nothing for you.
Oh, 8:30.
Well, leftover meat, want a meatloaf sandwich? Hang on, but
That's about it.
yeah, nothing else I can help you with. Yeah, it was late,
Well, you should have given
Yeah,
them
some kids
given
are-
them a trick.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah, Halloween's a big, holiday as far as retail-wise.
oh yeah,
Saturday
early Saturday morning, I went to Target. I had to get a couple things, and candy display was like empty. And there's a girl like on the same aisle, like putting other stuff on the shelf. And I'm like muttering under my breath, like, "Geez, this is crappy selection." She's like, "Man, we've sold out like every day. Like, I guess they only put out so much a day or whatever."
Oh, really?
And she's like, "Yeah, this has been sold out every day." And I was like, "This is it." So I was,
Yeah.
grabbed what I could.
Yeah, between the candy, the costumes, the decorations, it's quite a
One day.
Yeah, it's like the Super Bowl.
Did you see the famous football player, Bruce Smith, Buffalo Bills, Hall of Famer, great, player,
Right.
big Buffalo guy. He decorated his yard with all his tombstones
no.
that went in it, but the tombstones had all the quarterbacks that he sacked. And the number, like the number of times he sacked, Frank Reich, 18. They showed us on the news. It was like, he played for 12 years. He was a long tenured player.
Right.
Great, but
That's
whatever,
funny.
yeah, it's neat.
That is funny.
Tom Brady, whatever. It's cool.
That is really. Oh, that's funny.
Yep,
That's really good. You're talking about keeping statistics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer. I mean, he's a legendary player. It's pretty funny that he gets into it and
Right.
combines his career with his love of Halloween. So it's kind of neat.
That was nice. That's great. So it's a call-in show, right, Cameron? 331.
331-9255.
Yeah, so please call in. Tell us about your your Halloween
How was your
experience. Yeah, and we have a busy show today, right?
Yep.
Heidi Kirschner from the Y at 7:30. And then 8 o'clock we have, Bill Merchant.
Yep.
Bill's always
Our
has a lot of
historians
information.
today,
Yeah, and then Pete Roberts is bringing, we're going to talk about baseball. But
that's cool.
yeah. So the history of baseball players that have come from Ulster County and from the city of Kingston. Yeah. So that should be exciting, and that's at 8:30. So we have a full program today, which is great.
We had a very successful roast pork drive-through dinner yesterday at the Oaks
did you?
Lodge. Yeah, quite
Great.
successful.
How many dinners?
Oh, I know we packaged up 70, and there was only a couple left when I left.
That's great.
Yeah, it was
Good. Yeah, and you have your Veterans
Day dinner coming up. Yes, that's
Next
what
Thursday,
my
right?
perfect segue. Thank you. Next Thursday, starting at 5 o'clock for veterans, free for veterans, and $10 for companion meals. Drive-through pasta dinner, homemade meatballs, salad, dessert, the works. And starting at 5 o'clock, 5 to 6 is the distribution. And we need people to make reservations if possible. And the reservation number is, because we have 100, we can only make so much in our limited kitchen
Right.
so far. So 100 meals, so please call ahead, make reservations if you can to guarantee. But 481-0752 for our Veterans Day drive-through dinner.
Great.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
And I understand Marianne DeGroot, anyone who's
Yep,
listening and knows
she's
Marianne,
here to help.
she's
Yeah,
a
nice Italian
great
girl.
Italian cook.
Exactly.
So
Get
those
some,
meatballs will be delicious.
Get some Italian.
Not that you
flavor
wouldn't
in
make the
there.
best meatball either,
that's
Cameron.
right.
Yes,
Some help
absolutely.
would be great.
Yeah, right.
Hey, rolling 200 meatballs? No way.
I agree with you there. That's for sure. So
You
that's
think of it
next.
that way, 100 people, 2 meatball, 2-ounce meatball, 2-ounce
Yeah.
meatballs, perfect,
Nice size.
It's a lot of
A lot of
rolling.
meatballs.
A lot of
Yeah.
rolling. So hopefully we'll get a few volunteers. And it's, school's off, so there's a couple teachers I want to enlist.
Oh, good.
Maybe
That's
twist-
right,
try
because
to
it's
twist
Veterans
my
Day.
sister's arm to
Come and
out a
help
little
you.
bit, Yeah. But,
Yep.
yes, that's next Thursday. Please call or come on down. Tell
Great.
event. So I,
you go.
we emailed Mark Cozzapoli, the
Oh, yeah, Director of Veterans
flyer and everything
Agency.
up, and so
Good. Yeah, and he's fantastic about getting things out
Good.
in regard to veterans events.
Good.
Because I'm on the listserv for him, and he's constantly sending things out, which is
Great.
fantastic. Yeah, which is really good. So, that's
You know what's nice? This is the last Tuesday. It's gonna be dark.
daylight savings.
Yes, daylight savings. Thank goodness,
yes.
man.
Yeah. I had to say it's a little difficult in the morning when you're driving to the radio station at 10 to 7, and it
Yeah,
feels like
it's-
10 to 7
or-
at night
yeah.
instead of 10 to 7 in the
6
morning.
o'clock when the alarm goes off, it's like no way.
Yeah, right. It can't
The
be.
mornings are worse.
You're always.
dark in the morning. I don't mind dark after work, but before work,
It's hard.
not natural.
Yeah, it isn't. No, I agree with you 100%. And you've slept overslept when you start to see a little bit of daylight coming through the window. Yeah. Oh no.
So it looks like sunrise will be at 6:31 as
Thank
we move
goodness.
ahead after the time change.
The,
Fall back.
Last couple days, the house where Chris Bowers used to live on Wall Street. He sold it, and lucky living down in Austin now.
Right.
the woman who bought it, is turning it back into a single family house. The renovation is doing a great job and whatever. But they must have just recently, over the weekend, I think, because last night and tonight there's outside the back door where there used to be like an overhead fixture. There's just like a light bulb just for emergency light type thing.
Okay.
But because it's unshielded and there's no leaves on the trees in the backyard anymore, it shines right in my window. And
That's a little...
it's a pain in the neck.
Yeah,
I honestly, this time of year, I sleep with the shades up, so in the morning, any little bit of light that comes in
wake you up.
wake in. And I'm too lazy. I haven't taken the air conditioner out of my window, so it blocks the lower window. So you lie in bed, you wake up, and it's like light shines across the room. And if you sit up or try to get out of bed, it hits you right in the face, and it's like, sadly, I had to wake up a couple times in the night.
Yeah, right. Right.
And it's like, you sit up and
it's like wakes you right up. It's blinding.
Shut that dang blind, but it's funny.
It is funny. You don't realize the little things that all of a sudden change and affect you.
It's not like a spotlight aimed at my house. It's a bulb, but it's just 60-watt bulb probably, but it's just the way it's just broadcasting light, and it's sort of alien.
Yeah.
It's not, light's never been there like that before, so it's kind of funny, I guess.
Well, it'll be good when daylight savings comes. At least that light won't be coming into your window quite a bit.
Fixture
which would be a nice thing. Which would be very good. That's for sure. So, let's see now. This weekend, I'm trying to think. The Person House closed. Last weekend was our last weekend. We had a record year though at the Person House. Over 5,000 people walked through. Wow. Yeah, walked through the doors of the Person House. So we were really pleased about that. Yeah, which is really exciting. But the season, it's amazing. It's already over.
People too. I mean, if that's what you physically counted or whatever, I'm sure a few people got slipped through the cracks there.
Yes. And we used
the counter is out back talking to someone or something, and 3 people walk in and out, so that's minimum.
You're right. That's very true. And we really cut back too because we used to be open Tuesday through Saturday, and with the pandemic, we only opened Thursday through Saturday, and then we kept with that schedule throughout the summer months. So that's even 2 days short each week of what we used to do. So we were pleased with it. And having the farmers market right there always helps also. And we had great
good activities.
Yes, we did. We really did. We had great guest hosts, and so that worked out really very well. And, I just want to give a shout out to our DMV bus because our numbers are down on the bus right now. And I'm not sure if that's because of the pandemic and people don't want to go into those closed quarters right now or or maybe people are doing more things online. But again, let me just give you the schedule for our DMV bus. Mondays we're in Marlborough, Tuesdays we're in Saugerties, Wednesdays Ellenville, Thursday New Paltz, and Fridays Walk-Hill, except for the first Friday of the month, we're up in Shandaken, and our hours are 10 to 1 and 2 to 3:30. So if you're in any of those towns and do not want to come to Kingston to do your DMV transaction, and we do all transactions other than commercial driver's license testing and enhanced driver's licenses and any kind of enforcement transactions, but everything else you could do right on the bus.
Is that appointments required, or just it's
no
first come first serve?
First come first serve.
Cool, good.
Yeah, yes. So please support our motor vehicle bus. It really is very helpful to people, especially in outlying areas. Like down in Ellenville and Walk-Hill and so forth. So hopefully things will pick up.
Yeah.
And getting back to the pandemic. People don't know what's open, what's closed, what the policies are, what's going on. In the county building, we still have to wear our masks.
I've noticed a lot more people wearing masks.
Yes, right? Even in the grocery stores.
I was in a store, and I was in the minority of masks,
not having a mask?
The two sides were, Yeah,
I agree with you.
Hey, why not? I don't care.
I was thinking the other day, it's funny, but I was thinking, even for your common cold, the flu, whatever the case may be, the mask really does protect you from a lot of things, not just COVID itself.
Yeah, and the hand sanitizing and distance and all that, it definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And now we know Best Buy, the county is now doing the booster shots at Best Buy on Wednesdays and Fridays.
They did a bunch I saw.
It's over 900.
The first few days, 900,
That's a lot.
Traffic.
Yeah.
Is that an appointment set up? Do you have to make an
Yes, so you
appointment
go
there?
right online. You can pick the time you want to go.
Yeah.
And you also can pick the shot you want, whether you want Pfizer, Moderna, or J&J.
Okay, just go to the county website.
Go right to the county
Yeah,
website,
okay.
right to Department of Health, and you click on it, and they ask you for some information, your vaccination information, so forth, things like that. But and right
Bring your
now
card,
I believe
right,
it's
so they can mark
yes, bring your card, absolutely come in. I believe it's 65 and older right now.
Sounds good to me.
So
Oh, is there a restriction?
I believe there is right now.
Okay.
I think 65 and older.
Yeah.
But if you go on the website, it'll give you all the
Say 6
particulars.
months, 6 to 8 months, or something like that. Yeah.
After your last shot, yeah.
As April, Easter, I got my second shot. So.
Yeah, so Good Friday I got my second shot. Yeah, so I think we're eligible now to get it. And of course, they say a lot of people get the flu shot like 2 days or before or after the booster shot. But I know a lot of doctors and physicians are saying wait 4 weeks in between.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know if it
there's a
really
radio
makes a difference or
commercial.
not.
I hear on one of the local rock and roll stations, it's advertised. It's like a state campaign. Oh, get 2 at once. Get both shots. They're advertising. it.
Right.
Oh,
so
the
I
flu,
guess it's
the
okay
flu
to
and
do.
the flu and
COVID, yeah.
Yeah, you can get them together.
Double up. But
Dr. Eric Stanberg yesterday reiterated that and
Okay.
confirmed that is perfectly fine.
huh?
Yeah.
One in each
It's-
arm.
One in each arm.
You know, must
Might
get
as
it
well be
over.
sore.
Must as well get it over
Might
with
as well be
quickly.
sore.
You know, get it over with all at once.
Yeah. Now with the vaccine, I'm wondering to mix and match, stick with the same one. I'm wondering. What
Well, we had a discussion about that. That's a really good question. Now, I did hear that the Moderna. We have a phone call.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning. I do have a brief DMV question.
Sure.
Do I need an appointment to surrender license plates?
Yes, you do. There is a option on our website when you go to make the appointment to surrender plates. But we have same-day appointments right now, so it's really convenient. You'll come in right at the time that you make the appointment, surrender your plates, and you should be out within 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
You're
thanks for
welcome. Have a
listening.
good
Thanks
day.
for- yeah, the appointments
Thank
were
you.
great.
Okay,
I got a test of that.
Thank you.
Broken paperclip.
Well, but we're talking about mixing and matching shots.
Yeah, I wonder. I personally, I think I want to mix and match. I got Pfizer initially through the county and try Moderna. I guess why not? More
Right?
immunity. Who knows? But
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the same. I got Moderna, so I'm going to get Moderna
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So,
me-
yeah. But, I think you can mix and match, and I think it's just people's preferences.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you sign up, you do get that choice, as I said, so which is nice that you have the opportunity to do that. So, and I think just like anything else, they said there were long waits last Friday, but just like when we first started doing the vaccination, I think it just takes a little while to get everything back.
surge,
Yeah, right.
people
Yeah,
that might have been waiting for a few months, a couple months, so
right. Exactly.
until it was issued or whatever.
Yeah.
So, interesting little thing in the paper today about the sloop Clearwater. Did you see that?
Yes, I
They're going
did.
to sail to Albany. They're going to lift it out of the water, step the mast. I'm sure they're not going to leave the mast on because they want to fix under it, but I'm sure they'll do that in Albany. But put it on a barge so it's high and dry, and they're going to come back to Kingston, and the whole barge with the Clearwater is going to be down in the Rondout over the winter, 6 month.
Oh, so they're going to lift it up in Albany
In
because
Albany,
we
yeah.
don't have that kind of.
Yeah, no.
They can't get to Feeney's because of the bridges.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I don't know if I'm sure Feeney's
Feeney's could do
They
it.
got big air.
Isn't that funny that you have to go all the way to Albany to
Yeah, because they can't get
to
on
lift
the
it
new
out?
bridge.
Yeah, but
State designers.
it's common too because oftentimes the largest boats around Long Island have to go to New Jersey to get out.
Yeah.
50-foot boats and
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
Yes, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it'll be down at the Hudson River Maritime
High
Museum
and
for the
dry,
whole
yep.
for the whole winter. Yeah, which
I mean, anyone that owns a house knows what wood, your trim and your siding. Imagine having a whole boat made out of wood floating in the water. How the maintenance of that?
Oh,
my
I
goodness,
can't even
That's why
imagine.
it's $500,000.
oh I
for
can't.
labor.
Yeah,
And fortunately for Kingston, is one of the few literally boat building schools in the
right.
country.
yeah, that's true.
And there's a couple folks around here, men and women, shipwrights that know how to do that. So
we should get them on the radio. That's River Maritime Museum. Yeah. Yeah.
Like Wayne.
Maybe like on one of our fifth Tuesdays in the month.
Yeah,
I
got a call.
Yeah.
I never heard back from Cousin Brucey. I left.
Oh, you did give him a call.
Huh?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I left a message and never heard back. So.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, the Maritimes. I want to write that.
Yeah, that'd be
Very
nice
good
to
idea. We
get
used to
them
have
know
them
what
on
they're doing.
once a month on one of the shows.
Oh, are they?
Oh, you do?
Back in the day, yeah.
Oh, back in the day, yeah.
Well, about back in the day for me is only 5 years ago. So.
But no, they used to be on Feel Good Fridays. You're right.
That's right.
Yes, we
Yes.
used to have them
Yes.
once a month on our show, and just to find out. We could find out what's going on
there's 5
and their
Tuesdays this month.
programming, and yes, yeah,
And so we'll try to get a couple guests. So
which would be nice.
if any of our listeners have have a suggestion, somebody they'd like to hear from, give us a call.
Yeah, please let us
You
know.
don't have to get on the air. Tell Dan, and we'll try to relay the message or something.
Exactly. Yeah, sure.
Or some interest you may
Listener-
have, or
listener input, or you want to come on. Any listeners? You have a organization you're with, or a cool hobby,
We'd
whatever.
love to have you come on.
The invitation is out there.
There you go.
Yes.
Very, very
Fifth
nice.
Tuesday. So, look at phones ringing now. We're at actually 7:30, so we have to go to break.
All right, Dan.
Dan, why don't you take us to break?
Okay, thank you. Nina Postupack, Cameron Rylance. It's 7:30 now, actually 7:31. And you're listening to KCR, Kingston Community Radio on AM 920 and 92.5 FM. My name is Dan Gatis, and it is 7:31 a.m., Tuesday, November 2nd, 39 degrees here in Uptown Kingston. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can. But it's just as important to take time for yourself. AARP can help. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed. We are a global force for good. Support causes that matter. Change lives. Change communities. Change the world. We can do more together than we can alone. Join in. Experience the joy of serving. Be part of the movement. Give back. Let's unite the world for good. We are Lions. You can be too. Visit weserve.org.
Hi, this is Scott Harrington from Hurley, and I support Kingston Community Radio because the people need a place to have their voice heard, and it's lost in corporate radio, so please keep listening and supporting our station.
You're listening to WGHQ, AM 920 and 92.5 FM, the home of Kingston Community Radio. And you can also stream online at mykcr.org. And we're always live, 7 to 9 a.m. every weekday. A little bit about the weather and forecast for the next few days. We've got quite a nice 3 days coming along. High of 54 today with a little bit of clouds, and some clouds this evening giving way to mainly clear skies with a low of 32 tonight. Wednesday, sunny along with a few afternoon clouds, a high of 52. And Wednesday night, partly cloudy with a low near 30. And Thursday, partly cloudy with a high around 50. And Thursday night, a few clouds, a low down to 29. And that's what we have up through Thursday. And let's get back to the on-air studio. By the way, the underwriter of this segment of Kingston Community Radio is Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, 1099 Morton Boulevard in Kingston, their main office. Okay, now let's get back to the on-air studio with Nina Postupack, Cameron Rylance, and Heidi Kirschner.
Thank you, Dan.
We are
Good
back.
morning.
Good morning, Heidi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween. I guess it was a happy Halloween.
It was?
It was, yeah.
I saw, some neighborhoods were more populated than others.
Oh,
but,
yeah. But you guys were part of the parade the other
Yes,
day. Yeah.
yeah.
How I saw them lining up at the plaza.
Yep.
I was getting my weekly groceries, but looked like a great turnout.
It was a really good turnout. The weather took a turn for the better. it was supposed to 100% rain all day. So that, we were like, But whoever was out there doing their non-rain dance or had the rosary beads on the clothesline or whatever it took, the sun came out right before the parade started. So we managed to avoid rain throughout the parade. So it was nice. It was, it was great to have people out along the parade route. It was the first parade since COVID. So it was the first one that we kicked off. And
that's great, yeah.
It was, a lot of people with masks on too, though. Yeah. So I have to say that that was responsible. And then we had to move the festival inside, which is always a little nerve-wracking, in this environment. But we did it, and it was nice. Yeah, I mean, everyone was really happy. There was no angry people.
That's a nice thing. That's
it seems like recently, it's just anger is everywhere, but it was absolutely no anger, and people were happy. Most people scooted in, scooted out, which it was understandable,
right.
But it was just really nice. I have to, shout out to all the folks who helped with it, sponsored it. My Kingston kids, Frankie Waters and his group were awesome. He came with a big group of volunteers, who were, kept it safe, reminded people to wear their masks, and just a lot of nice activities.
Wait, Heidi, it's Halloween. Doesn't everybody have a mask on?
Good point. Yeah, good point.
It's got to cover the mouth and nose, though.
So but it was I have to say it was really nice. It was nice to have that feeling of people, out and about and doing things. It's kind of like you're fearful on one side, but you're happy on the other side, and but you just do your best to make sure everybody's, trying to be as safe as possible.
Well,
so how many children did you think participated in it, would you say?
Well, we had 900 confirm.
Oh,
wow.
That's amazing. That
no.
goes to show how people are really looking forward to doing things, getting back together, and especially with the kids.
There may have been a few more than that. Yes. But, I mean, everybody who was involved was really good, very supportive. My Kingston kids, Frank Waters and his team, they were awesome. I have to give a big shout out to, I think, Roundout Savings Bank was one of the main sponsors. They helped out a lot. Plus, they had people there. Plus, they were giving out candy. Cheryl was all dressed up with this lovely locks of green hair.
Oh, that's great.
Giving out candy to anyone who wanted it, And I have to admit, her candy selection was better than the Wise candy selection. So, yeah. But
you're a little more health conscious, right?
I know whoever purchased our candy, I think, was more sugar conscious.
Okay.
She was more chocolate focused, So, but it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun, and
what was the age group? Any age?
Yeah,
So
they came with their parents. Most kids came with their parents, and it was
as young as probably 4 years old, 3 years old.
Yeah.
All the way up to probably.
It was a lot of fun because they had. Because we had to spread people out. Because when you have that volume in this environment, you're like spread as best as possible. But we had there was laser tag in our lower gym. So that was pretty cool. And then they had glow-in-the-dark, what do you call it, dodgeball.
Oh, that's fun.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then I think they had some virtual reality, but I think there was a little issues with the system, so they couldn't offer it all day. So, but it was truly very nice. And they had the Ghostbusters group there. Do you know that local group?
I saw them in the parade, lineup.
It was so much fun, very fun.
Everything was free to the children and their families, right?
Yeah, they were able, I think there was a fee for like some of the games and stuff, but that was purely a fundraiser for like a lot of the, the non-for-profits who were selling the tickets, so.
Right.
but it was really nice. I have to say it was very nice, so, and I always like it when, I wasn't part of that rigid planning committee. I had Rashida Tyler from my staff but and I know there was a lot of planning that went into it, but it turned out very nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
very
great.
nice.
First annual?
So, yeah, first annual.
Wow,
so
that's cool.
So I think we'll plan to do it again next year.
Absolutely.
So hopefully we'll have good weather so we can sprawl it out in the parking lot and do a couple of different things. But it was fun, And then we also have our Reindeer Ramble.
Yes.
Road race coming up, and we've again chosen to make that a virtual event, just because. With the COVID variant, we weren't just really sure what to do in September, so we had make that call in September. So we said, let's keep it safe. And so it's a virtual run. You have the choice of running it anytime between the 28th of November until December 12th.
Oh, that's great.
So it's great. So, yeah, and so it's a 5K run. The run is around the Y. So if you know around the Y, there's a lot of hills, which makes it fun. Are
you encouraging people to run the routes that it would be if it was a live race? Or
we encourage it,
cool.
But I'm not going to go out there and get my satellite system going and watching
tracking you.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch your iPhone. Where's my phone? Is that route posted, or is it people know it? Or
I think people know it, and I think it'll be posted on the website. It's down Greenkill. You do the loop up Mary's Avenue. You kind of go up by Wiltwick Cemetery. You kind of run up West Chestnut around that loop, and then come back a little bit around Andrew. You pick up that hill in front of the high school now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's backwards now.
It's nice.
That's cool.
It's a nice run.
Yeah.
Really nice run.
And we can go on the website to sign up?
You go on the website to sign up. You can you go on, and there's a big old sign that once you go to the Reindeer Ramble, it says register here. Push that, and you enter your details, and you're good to go.
Great.
And
is that a fundraiser?
Yeah, more like a fundraiser. Get people out, get them active.
Cool.
Everybody who enters. And gets a really cute reindeer ornament. So that's fun. And I think the first 50 or 75 registrants get T-shirts as well. And then we have a nice little competition for our Santipede. So you can have teams of like 4 or 5. And there's themes. So I guess the first 3 teams, each team member gets a DoorDash gift card.
Oh, that's
like
nice.
a nice one. So, so it should be a lot of fun to do that. So if you don't want to run, just get your friends together and do a Santipede and go out, walk it, walk and jog.
Fresh air.
Yeah. Fresh air, have fun, laugh at each other. That's what that's what the holidays are about, spending time together with your friends.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're supporting the Y and doing it all.
Yeah. Supporting the Y, supporting health, supporting being outside, and like supporting your community. So it's pretty neat stuff. So, and I mean, we have other stuff coming up. I think this Wednesday out at our farm, we'll be having a little event where our farm youth who are involved with getting the Sojourner Truth Day in the city of Kingston will be out there. And, of course, we're trying to make the same thing happen for the county of Ulster. So they'll be reading it, going through the project. And so that's kind of cool that you see that happen, that you see these young adults. They're all college age at this point in time. But working on something, the idea was like just something that they kind of spewed out like 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And then, they were like, well, why can't you do this? And then they got, a little push to, go after it and a little more pushing. And so they kind of put their thoughts together and made it happen in the city of Kingston. And so now they're working on Ulster County, which is great.
To make a commemorative day?
Yeah, November 26th is Sojourner Truth Day in the city of Kingston.
Does that date have significance with her?
She passed away on that day.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of
The
cool.
county is in the process of.
Yes, they are.
Yes. Yeah. So, which is great, which is wonderful. And I just saw a wonderful poster that was done.
So Alishani is quite the artist.
My gosh.
It's unbelievable. Let me just see if I can pull it up somehow, some way. She a brilliant. I mean,
is it for
it's a
print, like to reproduce, to sell.
She's selling it. But it's absolutely fantastic, and
where
wish I could bring it up.
Is the original on display? Do you know, or is it?
Oh, here we go. It's right here. Oops.
Isn't that amazing? I know we're on the radio, but absolutely amazing what she's done. What she's captured.
The whole expression, the colors, and really quite a fine piece of work. And I think this will catapult her into future artwork. It's pretty amazing. So.
Look at that, Dan. It's absolutely.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
So proud. So perfect.
Yeah, quite the talent. So this is exciting, for her, that maybe this is something that she's, she was interested in, but this is really gonna.
Do you know how can you share with our listeners how you can view it or see it or buy it?
Probably just go to the Facebook page, the YMCA Farm Project Facebook page, and it's on there. I do know that they're selling reproductions at the farm stand on Thursday afternoons. I think they're like $10. But they're very fine. I know Judge McGinty, Sarah, is having a whole display being done in her courtroom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we've partnered with her, and Taylor Brook, who's our archivist on staff, created that exhibit with Sarah, and we're actually going to have an opening of it on that day.
Yeah.
So, which we're really excited about. It's amazing.
It's super way to get people together, get these young people talking. They have some, really good ideas and beliefs, and it's just phenomenal what they've done, to recognize this. And it's just, when you see the exhibit, and you can't even comprehend the strength, the inner strength that this woman had to have had, and how it's transcending time and the years, and she's not here right now, but she's making a big statement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what impacts me the most is that, and I think it has to be for the kids who came up with this idea, is the fact that 2 years ago they came up with something, and to see that grow and see it actually come and accomplish it, and to see and seeing it through, that has to be a wonderful feeling for them to say, you know what? We can really make a difference. We really can do something in the community. And now we have Sojourner Truth Day in the city of Kingston, and it's spreading out to the county. So I really have to say, it probably started with a small group.
Yeah. They were just sitting around talking about stuff that they didn't think, was what was fair, what was going on. They said, yeah, and what about this? And then they were like, whoa. And the person who was with them, I think Susan Hareth, who is our farm educator, said, well, why can't you do that? And, started to push them along. And you have to understand, these kids, I think most of them were in high school when this started, and now they're in college. So you have to say, for those youngsters, that's a long time period to work a process, and so it's great. I'm really happy for them. I'm happy for what they've done. I'm happy for what they've learned. I'm happy that we have these young adults now going forth in our community and being a voice. So,
thank you, Heidi. I'd like to ask now. She was obviously extraordinarily gifted when it comes to just seeing the world as it should be and things. Now, it's also quite a lot of bravery to change your name. What was her original name, and did she legally change her name to Sojourner Truth?
That's a good question.
I thought you would. I thought you would, Nina.
Oh my! I'm looking at you.
Until you asked her, she knew.
There was, and I've.
That's terrible. Now I know I'm getting old. Isn't that terrible? Her original name, and she did legally change it. She did legally change it in court.
That is in court.
Yeah.
Her name was Isabella Baumfree.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
That's a lot of bravery too.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, even in today's day and age, you think about doing something, but you go back where she was and the situation, how the things were in the world. Number one, she was a female, and then to be a black female. Are you kidding me?
Pushback.
And then
yes,
things she did, she had pushback.
And then her whole life, I mean, what she had to do. I mean, she, as a slave, she was a servant to these people, and and she just
we don't think about every step you take is going to get pushback. We don't
know what that is.
No, we don't.
We don't know what that is.
We don't.
Yeah.
And the fact that she, basically was educated. A lot of it, I mean, she had to kind of do herself and do her own education, but to have the wherewithal to do what she did is extraordinary, and truly extraordinary.
Absolutely.
And she should be celebrated. And I'm very happy that these young people have brought it back to life, and how extraordinary of an individual she was.
Well, that's a really shout out to you too, though, Heidi, and to the Y, and you've given those youngsters, those students, a platform to do that, and a voice to do that,
right.
And they wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So it speaks volumes, because sometimes people think of the Y, they think of the Y as somewhere to go to work out,
gym
or
and
play.
swim.
Yes, right, exactly right.
Changing.
And daycare a little bit, yeah. And you really, it has. It's evolved into something so much more than that. And very blessed that the youth of this community had the opportunity to participate on that level and to grow and learn.
Yeah.
So you really have taken the Y on a whole new path, which is fantastic
That
for
was,
our community.
Yeah, well, that we did a community survey a couple of years ago, and that's basically what the community said: more enrichment, educational activities, and so that's kind of the farm was headed in that direction, and they've done a great job with it. We've also had, with Rashida Tyler, we've also created some other programs. We have this great program, Girls Write Kingston, and they're coupled with BARD professors, and they learn about how to write, how to describe things. And I just, the first program that was run last year, to see the start and then to see the closing ceremony was, really extraordinary. And that's gaining momentum too, as more of the young ladies go through it. Their friends want to go through.
What's the name of that program?
Girls Write Kingston.
Girls Write Kingston.
Right, WRITE. And I mean, we're trying to involve more women organizations like YMCA to be a part of it. Because we just, as you've seen with Sojourner Truth, it's really important that you have ideas, you can express and articulate your ideas. And unfortunately, females and women sometimes don't get taken as seriously as they should. It's just the society that we still live in. And the way to do that is keep working it,
yes,
and keep that education going, keep that motivation going, and but it's really nice the young girls and women. Some are very young, some are high school. It's great to see, and I love seeing that kind of program and the results and what happens, when you start to encourage kids to do things and they're excited about it.
Well, and then the partnership too with Bard College, and I know we've spoken about this on the radio because Bard does quite a bit with the Boys and Girls Club also, and their mentor program. But to do that collaboration with them and give the girls the tools through Bard College, I mean, how great is that?
Yeah.
The opportunity to have a college professor sit with you in
high school.
Yeah, right.
I was
mean, that's just amazing.
And to really, 'cause it's just fantastic to think that you have a Bard professor sitting with you like one-on-one talking about writing and skills and development of your work. It's pretty cool. Pretty
Bard
cool.
has definitely been growing their community outreach and their
They're so good.
They are.
impact
They're
and
fantastic.
Very
their
good.
mentor,
Yeah.
Like that Brothers at Bard program. There was a bunch of kids at Ramapo,
Yep.
counselors. Great kids,
Yeah.
young men. Great,
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah, I learned about the program. And
It's fantastic. Yep. It's great. So we're lucky that we have that resource here, and they're very willing to do a lot of work. I mean, even with the city of Kingston, there's projects that professors over there, science professors are working on with regard to air quality. I mean, we I just hear about them. I was like, I didn't know that was going on. And how cool is it to, have that kind of capacity here and expertise to help, guide and make good decisions for you. Yeah. So very cool. All right.
Yes, so you are very busy. This half hour, it's already 5 minutes before the top of the hour. It just
goes
flew
by so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know we're in November already. Unbelievable.
I know. And of course, your school programs, everything are moving forward. And
Yeah, you proceed carefully, and we're just hoping that with every month that goes by, we're a little bit further in the rearview mirror, with what's been going on. So yeah.
has your I know are you picking up? Are more people? You see more people coming in?
We do see, they're not crashing the doors open because there still is a lot of concern, but it is picking up, which is nice.
You've been saying that the swimming.
Swimming has been very busy.
Has been busy, yeah.
I mean, people don't like the fact that they have to share a lane. It's amazing the angles that people take for the reasons why they have to have their own lane, but it's like, you can't have your own lane. If we did that, we wouldn't be able to accommodate.
Right.
But it's really good. It's nice. I'm happy that people are, coming back and are swimming and are, being healthy and like our pool. It's very nice,
Oh, absolutely.
So, but whatever. It's good. It's very good.
Everything else,
like your basketball leagues, all.
We just the basketball leagues are going great. We have our teen league. We'll be finishing up soon. Our young players, I think they finished up just this past weekend. We have a YMCA, which is a young men's league that's going on Wednesday nights. I'm telling you, they had the greatest game last week. Great game between the top two players, top two teams. And I was able to step in to see it initially, but I had to go home and do some stuff, but I was able to pull it up on our cameras. And it was fantastic to watch the level of play. But then we have the ladies' league is on Tuesday night. The men's is on Wednesday. We have our volleyball league on Thursday. Then there's more basketball on Friday. And then Saturday morning, our running program should be starting in January. So basically every night of the week we have our gyms are full.
Yeah.
And it's really nice, like, when after school, just the hordes of kids that are in the facility again. It's just nice to see. I kind of keep my door open so I can
hear
what's going on. And,
To your ears.
Yeah. So it's really nice to see.
So, Heidi, maybe a little contact information.
Yeah, so let's, if you want to call the Y and find out about memberships or get a tour, the telephone number is 845-338-3810. Our website is ymcaulster.org. Look us up.
Fantastic.
All right, thanks so much.
Yes.
So we won't see you until after Thanksgiving, so have a lovely
Thank you so much, you as well. Be well with your family. Enjoy the
absolutely.
time.
Well, hopefully you get your turkey early, right? I heard there's going to be a turkey shortage.
There's a shortage of everything anymore.
Crazy.
Right?
That's okay with me. I'm
Yeah.
not necessally a fan of turkey, so I can eat something else and pretend it's turkey.
Yeah, that's lasagna. There you go.
I prefer it to. Other than the stuffing, I could live. I love stuffing. I could live without the whole meal. So. Cool. All right, Heidi. Thank you.
All right, thanks
again.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, Dan, why don't you take us to
Thanks.
break?
Thank you, Heidi Kirschner and Nina Postupack and Cameron Rylance. We're nearing the top of the hour right now. Many thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in and being with us today on WGHQ, AM 920 and 92.5 FM. And let's see, this last portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, 1099 Morton Boulevard in Kingston. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Hi, this is Diane Eastwick from Athens, New York, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
And we're back, and you're with us here at WGHQ AM 920 and 92.5 FM, the home of Kingston Community Radio, 7 to 9 a.m. every weekday. Tuesday, November 2nd, today it's 39 degrees here in Uptown Kingston, and this morning's program is brought to you by Robert Baum Commercial Realty, located at 79 St. James Street, Kingston, New York. Visit rgbaum.com for more information. And let's get back to the on-air studio with Nina Postupack, Cameron Rylance, and Bill Merchant. Welcome back.
And we are back. Terrific Tuesday, and we have a couple birthdays here for the Boyce Brothers Dairy Milk House cow pie giveaway. So, of course, as I do every day, the winner gets a complimentary cow pie from Boyce Brothers Dairy Milk House. So, today, Tuesday, November 2, Nina, why don't you go?
Oh, I'm so happy to wish this person a happy birthday because I know her so well, and she's a fantastic individual, a hard worker for the community. So please wish a happy birthday to Anna Bratt from your friends at People's Place. We hope you enjoy your special day.
Happy birthday.
So happy birthday, Anna.
I had her as a teacher.
You
She's
did?
my health
Oh,
teacher,
okay.
1982 or whatever the heck it was.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
And I would like to wish a happy birthday to Rosemary Maresca from your friends at the Hurley Pearlers. So today...
Go ahead, Cameron.
There we go. Our winner is... Rosemary Maresca. Congratulations.
Rosemary Maresca.
There you go. Okay. Nice Irish girl.
Right, there you go.
So go down to the fine folks on O'Neill Street at 62 O'Neill Street to Boyce Brothers Dairy Milk House. Claim your cow prize pie and celebrate with your friends and family. And enjoy. And thanks for listening. And send in your birthday announcements, folks. Right? P.O. Box, I should know this by now. 4364, Kingston, New York, 12402, or
Gmail.
My KCR, right?
Yeah. KCR921 at gmail.com.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Listen to Dan, not me.
Oh, well. I have it written right there.
There you go. So we got to get a cheat sheet here. So,
Yes,
Bill Merchant, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Bill.
How are you all doing today?
Local historian and director, right?
No, I'm a deputy director. The excellent Jack Bronlin is our executive director.
There you go.
Jack used to be the executive director at Historic Huguenot Street in Lyndhurst, a graduate of the Cooperstown Museum Arts program.
New Jersey?
No, Lyndhurst. Lyndhurst is a manor down in one of the downstate it's either Westchester or
okay.
Lyndhurst was the home of, I think, the Schuyler's, maybe some of those rich white people.
Yeah.
Basically.
I was thinking because you said I was like, wow, there's big Dutch presence in Jersey way back when for a Huguenot to have another Huguenot street in New Jersey. Whatever.
Well, indeed, actually, the Dutch. If you know about Dutch barns, they are only in from Vermont to New Jersey. Huh. There's a kind of barn that the Dutch only made in the New World. They didn't make them over in Holland. They're beautiful. They're like temples. They're if you've seen a barn with a really big gable end, like a big square barn, with the doors on the gable end. That is typically a Dutch barn. We have, I don't know how many exactly. They're a fascinating structure. They're big open threshing floors. So they're very specific. But we're fortunate enough to have, many examples.
So
but
Dutch
they're only,
barns were agricultural as opposed to livestock barns.
they were used for both.
The
But
threshing floor, I mean, you got to have a pretty clean.
they're post and beam structures with a big H, and then I think of them as being agrarian temples, but that's just or cathedrals,
Yeah.
because they've got the side aisles, but but they've got these big, massive roofs. They just have a nice big open area. Which lends itself to threshing grain.
What era were they built? Like what?
17th century when the Dutch settled. The Dutch settled in the Netherlands starting in 1621, I think it was.
They didn't build them in the Netherlands because probably trees like that weren't even in the Netherlands.
It's a good point. Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I think all of Europe. I mean, like the King's Forest or whatever was.
Well, for the same reasons that we needed D&H coal, I'll always bring it back to that.
Yeah.
Because
you better because that's why
you're pay me for this. I mean, basically everything east of the Appalachian Mountains had been clear cut. There was heavy settlement for 200 years by the time the D&H story starts. Yeah. We needed, there was still wood, but there was not enough wood, and certainly not enough for the growing energy needs of our growing nation.
Why burn it? We need it to make ships.
We needed coal, and it was cheaper to ship it across the Atlantic Ocean. That fact always just tickles me. In say 1812, it was cheaper.
Coal?
We were buying our coal, bituminous coal, from the British.
Yes,
and it was cheaper to buy it shipped across that 12-week or whatever it was across the Atlantic Ocean because we had no infrastructure. So we had coal down in Virginia. You would think getting to Virginia to Philadelphia, the largest city in America in 1812, would be an easy thing, but in fact it was cheaper to ship it across the Atlantic Ocean.
What was the biggest city in 1812?
Philadelphia.
Huh.
New York City doesn't surpass Philly until 1820.
Really?
It's funny the things you pick up in life if you the facts that you just.
Wow.
Well, think about all the stuff going on in Philadelphia. That was where America was born, right? You've got Independence Hall. You've got the Continental Congress is meeting in Philly. Certainly New York City was important, too, during the Revolution. Of course, it fell to the British almost immediately and then was with the British for the rest of the war.
It is.
Being the small, wow.
The Revolutionary War is fascinating. The fact that we won it, for instance, is fascinating. God bless the French. Because we wouldn't have done it without the French. And George Washington probably wasn't the most brilliant general, but he was dogged. Against great odds, he endured, and eventually the British were also arrogant. That helped as well. And a little stupid in places. Like the guy not going and helping Burgoyne, that was a big deal. Saratoga, the British fall there, and that sort of starts getting stuff going. Somebody was supposed to go coming up the Hudson River. That was the idea, and he said, I don't need to do that. I think he went to Philly, if memory serves. At that point in time. Not that I'm a Revolutionary War historian necessarily, but since we've got the 250th coming up, people are talking about it a lot now.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah, we're starting a commission already for that and the celebration of it.
Taylor's kept us in the loop.
Has he? Yeah. Exciting, very exciting.
More exciting to me, of course, is the 200th anniversary of the D&H, which is also coming up in the next, 2023. We'd celebrate when they got their the permission to build it.
Okay.
2025 is the 200th anniversary of the beginning of construction, of them raising $1 million for the first $1 million private enterprise. They raised $1 million in less than a day by proving you can burn anthracite coal. And then, there's all sorts of so the DHTHC, the Delaware and Hudson Transportation Heritage Council, is in planning now for multiple celebrations along the route of the canal for the 200th anniversary.
Notice how I took
by 2 minutes. So I just got coal questions coming up. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
So England, Great Britain, they were mining. They only had bituminous coal.
That's right, and that's why the London
dirty,
fog. London fog is bituminous coal. Anthracite is harder to burn. So you had to educate the public. In fact, the D&H actually has special grates made, and they sell them to you. They teach you how to burn it. They raised $1 million by proving you could burn it. And it was January 7th, 1825 at the Tontine Coffee House on Wall Street. That was sort of the end of the coffee house era. The Tontine turns into a tavern 2 years later.
Tune Tavern, never mind. I say the Marine Corps was formed, but that was Tune Tavern.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't know about that. I should, I suppose. But no, the Tontine was a very, coffee houses in 18th and 19th century America and in Europe were places where people with money would go and have coffee, and then you come with an investment scheme and you make a deal. Before even stock markets, in fact, the New York Stock Exchange has its first official meeting in the boardroom of the Tontine Coffee House in 1823. By 1826 or 1827, the coffee house era is over. The Tontine becomes a tavern. And the stock exchange now exists, and people now use stock. So the D&H was kind of cutting edge. They were one of the first companies to actually issue stock so as to support their $1 million, some $40 million in today's spending power. They raised $1.5 million. In the end, it cost about $2 million to build. And I love this part of the story. They build everything in New York. By 1827, the canal is functioning from Port Jervis. They're training people. They're moving materials. They haven't done anything in Pennsylvania. They haven't even told people the route. And we've got a map from 1823. There's nothing in Pennsylvania. There's the towns, but there's no route in there. They thought people would gouge them. They didn't want people to know they were going to,
it's like knowing where the railroad coming through. Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they run out of money. They've exhausted the first $1.5 million. Well, $500,000 was used for banking privileges. They get a bond issue from the state of New York for $500,000, and that's what pays for the canal in Pennsylvania. But here's the thing. And the state of Pennsylvania had the right after 20 years to seize it if it didn't meet certain metrics. But this thing was useless if you only had part of it. Yeah. Pennsylvania needed it because it was opening up a region and it was finding a market for, this is 3/4 of all the world's anthracite coal is I don't know if it still is, it probably is, in northeastern Pennsylvania. So this was huge. The entire world's supply of anthracite is in that part of
How long was the canal in Pennsylvania?
I should know these things, shouldn't I?
No, you amaze me at what you do now.
It's about 30 miles, I'm going out with the National Register crew starting next week, and I'll try and bone up on the mileage. We'll be doing the entire route, taking pictures.
That's interesting. That'll be wonderful.
We're actually updating the registers. The designation was very rudimentary. So one of my colleagues, the excellent museum in Cutterbackville, what is it? The Neversink Area Museum of Technology and Innovation. We have to all get shorter names.
Yeah.
Right? I really think, there must be a great acronym. Why have we,
Neversink,
I can't go there. They applied for a federal grant for an historic building on their property, and it was refused because they said it's not on the register. The D&H Canal was put on the register. Secretary of Interior Udall flies over it, looks down and goes, that's a historic landmark. And they pick out 5 specific areas, including the Cutterbackville. Coincidentally, or maybe not, they're all spots that have Roebling aqueducts except for one. So in High Falls, the Depew Tavern, the 5 Blocks Walk, and the Roebling Aqueduct remains there. All are put on the register and specifically mentioned. So Cutterbackville is mentioned, but they don't mention all the structures. That started a move to update this listing because it's 50 years old, and in fact, I found some real inaccuracies. So I just did about 90% of the narrative is my work. I based it on the original. I saved some parts of it just out of sentiment, fixed the mistakes. And then Seth Hinshaw, who works for Grubb Associates, who's the main contractor, he did some of the research and writing, and I did most of it since I'm the lead historian. I'm the guy that sort of knows the story best.
So you're trying to expand what's on the National Register of...
I have 186 extant or said to be extant sites, and that's not including buildings. Where I'm weakest and where I plan to really work in the next 2 weeks is to, along that route, go... Okay, that building's on the company maps. That needs to be mentioned. I want to make sure my colleagues can get their federal monies for their buildings. When the time is. And I want to make sure, more importantly, that this history is appreciated and saved. So I'm proud that I get to be part of this. It's a really important project, and my employer, the Canal Museum, is proud that we're leading the effort.
So you're redoing the whole High Falls to, river to river, Delaware. You know, the
we're gonna-
border to the Hudson River, whatever.
2 years ago, the National Park Service surveyed from Port Jervis to the Roebling Aqueduct. So I'll go over that. It looks like they covered that pretty well. So if there's a site they missed, we'll skim by that. But otherwise, that's in pretty good shape because it's a $50,000 project.
Yeah.
Some of us feel like a little more money would have helped, but the contractor's happy. They're paying me. It's all good. It's all good.
Right.
But in the next year, we've been a year into the process. I think by sometime next year, and the DHTHC would love to get a national trail on as much of the D&H as we can. So we're going to be
that'd be fantastic. That would be
working on that as well. We've got a gentleman by the name of Don Druitt who is a retired as a correctional officer's liaison and advocate in Washington. So he has all these ties.
Yeah, that's great.
He discovered D&H TV. He sucked into so he contacted me, and now we're going to go we're going to try and see if we can get some federal money.
A lot of that's the whole route is probably private property now.
No, interestingly enough, why this isn't as crazy as it seems, Orange and Sullivan County are said to own the entire bed. Now, some people think that they own it. I think that they may be wrong. And by the way, none of us own history. We're just renting it for a while because history lives beyond us. Yeah. So Sullivan County, I always shout out. 80% of the D&H Trail in Sullivan County, you can walk it, you can see it. They do a wonderful job.
Oh, that's great.
Orange County, to say they're antagonistic, well, maybe that's going a little too far. But their population base is on the other side of the Schoengums in Newburgh, and so they have done very little. They lost water on a section that had been watered for eons in Cunnabackville, and so there's an effort trying to get it rewatered. And as you know, trying to get water into anything, but we're gonna do it somehow. It would help if we got the designation. And then in Ulster County, God bless Open Space Institute, who right now have put in a consolidated funding application to do a New York O&W trail, which would run from Port Jervis to Kingston. Well, that's fine by me because the section from Ellenville to Accord, the D&H runs right on. The New York O&W extended their line. The O&W comes in 69, and it's running. There's a famous postcard image of the D&H Canal with a railroad right next to it, kind of foreshadowing, what's coming. Right. I mean, the D&H ran the first steam locomotive in the Western Hemisphere. They knew what was coming too, But when Kirkendall buys the D&H in 1901, he sells part of the route. The Erie the Erie Railroad buys the Deer Park section and never does anything with it that we can tell. Although one of the first hydroelectric plants gets put on that section using the feeder off the Neversink. That's the southern end of the 17-mile summit level, the longest stretch of the canal. They said the water ran in both directions. They needed a lot of water, 17 miles to keep, so they had a feeder where they diverted water off the Neversink River, which until 2000, when the Nature Conservancy wanted to save the dwarf mussel and said, we can take out one of the dams, it'll still stay watered, and if it doesn't, we'll fix it. They were wrong on any number of counts, nor did anybody hold their feet to the fire. It no longer has water, and the longer it goes, the more worried people are that it won't hold water again. I was just at that site last week for the DHTHC meeting.
Some freshwater mussel that's in the
dwarf mussel, which they didn't. The next 100-year storm took it out. And they talked about restoring historic spawning beds, but there were two big dams after 1825. Nothing spawned past those, So, I mean, how historic are those? I for the most part, applaud us wanting to take care of nature and things, but this seemed to be a misguided effort. The Army Corps came in. They said, if this doesn't work, we'll take care of it. They didn't. Nobody managed to hold them to it. And now, 20 years later,
too late.
People have been trying to. Well, we never say never. We're going to. I mean, it's just going to be. If we get it designated as a national, that might help. Actually, that could be. Well. Get a higher authority. I thought New York State, but the feds is even better.
Even better. Yes.
The reason I asked if it was privately owned or whatever is because do you think people may not want it? Like if they, Oh,
undoubtedly private. We've had people get funny about, they don't appreciate history. They think they own, the native peoples didn't think, we get Indian givers. It was a clash of cultures. The native people, the idea of owning land, were you crazy? Land is what we all live on. Land is the Earth Mother. Land, you can't buy land. So the deals that were made with all the indigenous people, they didn't renege. They were giving you a rental. They were giving you the right to share it with them. They probably thought they were pulling one over on the white people because how can you own land? Well, unfortunately, the white people won that one. So people whose properties are historic, they're worried about liability, and the law says that anybody who opens their property for hikers can't be held liable. Now, this would be good if they couldn't be sued. But as an employee of an organization that has been sued because we've opened our land to people, unfortunately, the law doesn't have teeth. It's an ineffective law. And people get funny. They think they own it, and a lot of times they fill it in and they neglect it, and nobody's seeing the big picture. We all think it's just it's like climate change. It's like climate change for me just means like warmer winters and 2 hot summers. Climate change for my grandnieces and nephews means this could be the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I truly worry about them. I'm probably going to be all right because I'm so old,
Yeah.
Nothing's going to hit the fan that quick, But we're on a slippery slope. Now is the time.
70 years from now,
And so there's a similar thing, the arrogance of we're too self-centered. We don't take the huge worldview, and that's what's kind of happening. It'll be interesting, but a lot of people also. I'm in contact with property owners who love what they have, who want us to come visit it, who want to celebrate it, who realize that they have something special that's going to outlive all of us.
Yeah.
So, like anything, it runs the gamut. You get people that are really good about it. In fact, there's a dry dock in Loch we've got to go visit in Rosendale soon. At a talk one of my colleagues gave, somebody came up and wants to show us his property, and I see it from the road, but now I have permission. I've met many of the people who privately own bits of the D&H, and a lot of them really love it. There's this PA Lock 26, the gentleman that owns it, has been very successful, I think, in concrete. And he's talking about spending what will be 6 figures to clear. He's got PA Lock 26 with a beautiful dry dock next to it. He's got one of the largest waste weirs intact on the property. And he's going to clear it all up so people, I don't know that he'll open it to the public.
Expose the stonework and everything?
He appreciates the fact that he owns a piece of history. He bought the property sight unseen because he's a trout fisherman, and it's on the Lackawaxen River. And so he wanted to fish the Lackawaxen. But then he discovered he had these historic remains.
Oh, that's cool.
That is.
I had trespassed last December to discover them.
You won't tell anybody that.
Just between the three of us.
Three of us and everybody else that's listening.
Well, I can say this now because I've met the owner, and I now have his permission. There's a similar thing in High Falls. There's a gentleman who's an anthropologist who owns the N-word locks, and he was fascinated when I told him that he owns this property that we're referred to as we say the N-word because we're not going to say, presumably the lock tenders on that side of High Falls were people of color. I haven't been able to prove that. We've done a little research. So far, we can only find white men manning them. But we think at some point in time, because it was in the less settled...
They didn't bother to write his name down. Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's so we have 5,000 names of people who we know worked on the D&H. 15 names are people of color that I can say definitively. I'm sure there were more. But those are the ones history recorded. And women are the most marginalized. I have even less names.
What is in High Falls? This new guy. What is actually on his property in High Falls?
Well, he's got the remains of the one side of the Roebling Aqueduct, and he's got locks 13 and 14.
Over what?
Over the Rondout Creek.
Really?
Oh yeah. No, there was a Roman-style 2-arch stone aqueduct put in for, I think it was $5,000, probably designed by John Jervis in 1825. They deepened the canal twice in the 1840s. That's easy. You just can make the sides bigger.
Okay.
When they go to wider and longer boats, everything gets rebuilt. Leading up to 1850, John Roebling builds a series of 4 suspension aqueducts for the D&H Canal Company, of only 5 that were ever built. And he built all 5 of them. He built one in Pittsburgh, and that's the one that the D&H folks went and looked at and then said, we're going to hire this guy. This is great.
Huh. Now, is the one that's currently over the Delaware, that's the only one that's
the only one that's extant, the oldest suspension bridge in America. My colleague Paul King and I, by the way, the Hudson River Valley Review comes out this month, and there's an article of mine on the marginalized population on the D&H Canal where I talk about immigrants, people of color, women and children. The D&H Canal could not have been built nor operated without immigrants, largely the Irish, who were vilified in the 19th century, just a step above enslaved people.
Yeah.
In fact, enslavers in the South would hire the Irish for jobs that had a high mortality rate. You know, a person's worth $1,000, an enslaved person worth $1,000. The Irish.
A horse is worth more than their life too. You know.
Well, there's another bit of D&H lore, which is that. So a mule in 1855 at the beginning of the season would be $100. So you had $200 tied up. That's a couple years' wages. And very often the hoagies, the mule drivers, were children. The lore says that if the team went in, you were instructed to rescue the mules first because you could always get another orphan. I cannot prove this story. It's an oft-told story. It's lore.
Right.
It could be true. I'm
wouldn't
sure.
doubt it.
Exactly. But I also, as a rigorous historian, won't go and say it's true either. I can only say it's lore.
Yes.
Right.
But I'm getting back. So the Hudson River Valley Review has my article. It also has Professor Paul King's article, who's writing a book on John Roebling, on Roebling's Hudson Valley aqueducts, that talks about that. And he and I are now working on a video. We're going to do a long-form documentary, because the Roebling Aqueduct over the Delaware, not only is it just a fascinating bit of engineering itself, but it's a really great way to teach. Suspension bridge technology is fascinating. It's a brilliant idea, and everything's nice and close to the ground and kind of easy to see. It doesn't go up into big towers like the Brooklyn Bridge. You can sit and walk it and really sort of appreciate why that technology works.
The fact that it held a ditch, a trough, a wooden trough full of water that boats went on. I mean, even in year 2021, you know, a bridge for boats instead of, it's like, wow, that's brilliant.
And another bit of lore is that when they opened them, so the ones, they always had problems crossing the Delaware River. The guys that were running timber, and it was mainly men, it was only men. I've never heard of any timber women.
They were smart. They're smarter than men.
There you go.
They thought it was their river. Well, the D&H puts a dam and has a rope ferry, and there was constantly problems with them. So in the 1840s, Russell Farnham Lord decides, let's just put an aqueduct. Well, the guy who owned the confluence didn't like the D&H company, and they were afraid he was going to gouge them. They were always worried about that. When some land nearby becomes available, Lord and his wife buy it. And this happened very often. He would buy land in his own name and then transfer it to the company. And he plans to build 2 aqueducts over the Lackawaxen and over the Delaware, and indeed, that's what they do. That's when they go. They had already met John Roebling because they started using his wire rope on their gravity railroad. The D&H had America's first gravity railroad. There were many in the historic era. And wire rope was the first users of wire rope were gravity railroads. John Roebling becomes consequently one of the richest men in America because of his wire rope business. Forget the bridges. The wire rope business is what makes this man wealthy. So the D&H builds those 2 aqueducts. In fact, they build them like 47 they start. They open them in 49 before the whole enlargement. And once again, the lore says people came to watch the first boat cross because they thought it would just go fall into the river.
Yeah.
People don't understand displacement. In fact, the load on the aqueduct does not change at all when a boat enters it. So those boats at that point in time were capable of having 80 tons of coal on them.
Pushes the water.
Displacement. You got to explain it. You know, the boat goes in and it displaces 80 tons worth of water, and the load on the structure is static. It doesn't change at all. The amount of Well, there was a similar thing. So they have waylocks on canals. You know, you had to know how much coal or whatever products they were carrying. On the Erie Canal in Syracuse, they had a waylock building. The original waylock used displacement. People didn't trust it. This is voodoo. What do you mean? You put that there? Yeah, sure, that scale's right, fella.
Yeah, exactly.
So they were forced eventually to put a mechanical scale in there.
To actually lift the boat.
Well, what happens? The D&H bought them too. Fairchild in Vermont made them in 1850. We've got letters where they're ordering them. It's a mechanical lock that was large enough to take a 90-foot by 14.5-foot wide boat that carried eventually 130 tons of coal. Right in Eddyville, at Lock 1, opposite the Anchorage restaurant, there's Lock 1, and then the person whose house, I won't say his name, wonderful people, again, somebody who owns part of history and lets you appreciates that is not antagonistic to historians. But there was a waylock building where the boat, you had to pump all the water out. They weren't going to pay you coal money for water weight. You could only have an inch of water in the bottom of your boat. Couldn't enter the lock until the water was out. They put the boat into the lock, drain all the water, boat now settles on a giant scale.
Wow.
Interesting that the D&H company, they're just cynical enough. They knew the tear, the unladen weight of the boat at the beginning of the season, because they had to subtract that. They didn't weigh the coal till Eddyville. Lord knows what happens on that 108 mile. Well, at that point, it's 102 miles, whatever.
Oh, yeah, selling it.
You might be selling some. Yeah, they're not going to pay you. So, they didn't. Interestingly enough, the PA Coal Company was a rival concern in 1850. They had a waylock at the beginning of their.
Yeah. You better show up with.
History hasn't said whether their boatmen, whether they were selling on the way or not.
With 130 tons.
And then you were credited.
Yeah. But that's interesting how they water. You can't fill your bilge with water and.
Yeah, you had to pump it out with these. We'll have one on display. We have 3 or 4 of them in our collection. Yeah,
leather, baffle, wood. Yeah.
That's exactly. Yeah.
So, Bill, we chewed up a half hour.
Somehow,
some way, right?
So thank you so much.
Yes, well, thank you. Yeah.
And we won't see you till after Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
November 13th, if you're available, please come to the Canal House at 2 o'clock. We're going to have an unveiling of an outdoor element. We just installed it yesterday.
Cool. Oh, great.
If you're at all, we'd love to have you. I think Jay and Molly are slated. I have to double check.
That's cool.
To sing a few
fantastic.
songs, and we'll just have a little, just an unveiling and sort of a harbinger of what will be happening next spring when we open our wonderful new facility.
Oh, that's great.
Cool, man. All right.
And what time is that?
2 o'clock on
2 o'clock.
a week from Saturday, November 13th. We'd love to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Both of you.
Yeah,
And you too,
much.
Dan.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Dan, though.
There you go. All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Bill.
it.
Well, thank you.
Care.
Take us to break.
Thank you, Bill Merchant, and thank you for bringing us a terrific Tuesday. Nina Postupack and Cameron Rylance. It's now at the bottom of the hour, and you're with us on Kingston Community Radio at 8:30 a.m. It's 39 degrees right now here on this Tuesday, November 2nd. And this last portion of Kingston Community Radio was brought to you by Robert Baum Commercial Realty, located at 79 St. James Street, Kingston, New York. Visit rgbaum.com for more information. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Okay, man, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
My name's Maggie. I'm from Copake, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
Okay, see you later. See you in a little bit. Okay. And you're with us here at KCR, Kingston Community Radio, AM 920 and 92.5 FM, WGHQ. A powerful community bank is one that has leaders that are involved in their community. At Rondout Savings, they invest in the success of our community by working side by side with local people and local businesses. Rondout Savings, always working for you and our community, with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park, and also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC. And one more time, a little bit about the weather that's coming up in the next 3 days. Today, it's going to be a bit cloudy with a high of 54. And tonight, some clouds this evening, giving way to mainly clear skies overnight with a low of 32. So you gardeners, time to take take hold of your best garden produce. Wednesday, sunny along with a few afternoon clouds, a high of 52. And Wednesday night, partly cloudy with a low near 30. Thursday, partly cloudy with a high around 50. And Thursday night, few clouds with a low down to 29. And as we said, this upcoming portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Rondout Savings Bank. And let's get back to the on-air studio for our last half hour. Welcome back, Nina Postupack, Cameron Rylance, and our new guests.
And we are on for the home stretch. So we got to get right into it. Peter Roberts, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
And you brought a guest, Dan Rhinehart.
Yes.
The voice of Kingston sports for 50 plus years, you just said. So that's amazing.
Got a lot of experience here.
Yeah, that's right. There's one word for it, right? Experience. So you have a pretty cool topic.
Yeah, we're going to talk about baseball in Kingston, and we're going to focus on those ball players that made it to the major leagues, which is quite an accomplishment.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And, of course, Kingston has a history of organized baseball going back to 1882, 1883. And they had an outstanding team back then. They were called the Kingston Leaders. They were sponsored by the local morning newspaper, the Kingston Leader. And on that team were a group of players who played largely on weekends, of course, and they played at a field called Donovan Field, and it was over by Linderman Avenue and Washington Avenue. Now, I'm not exactly sure where that is because there's a stream that goes through there, right?
That's right, yes, yeah.
But they produced two major leaguers, interestingly enough, one of whom was a major star. He played in the major leagues 8 years. His name was Dick Johnston, and Dick was a shortstop on that team, and he ended up playing for Boston in the National League.
Wow.
And he was described as being a phenomenal center fielder of his time. Center fielder. And John Thorne, the National Baseball historian, states that he really began the art of center fielder.
Oh, isn't that
because
something?
he was able to turn on a fly ball, taking his eye away from the ball, and then turn around when the ball reached a certain point in the outfield. And of course, that's what good center fielders do today.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
So Dick, being a star, lasted about 8 years in the major leagues, and he came back to Kingston where he was a printer for the Freeman. And he also, his daughter married into the Zay family, Zay Beverages.
Yeah.
And his grandson was John Zay, who was a high school basketball star back in the 30s.
Oh.
And his two sons, probably, Bill and Pete.
Yeah.
And of course, they were great amateur athletes as well, right?
Right.
And there was also one other fellow on that team. His name was Myron Allen, and he ended up in the majors for about 4 years and had a successful year with Cincinnati at one time. And Myron was actually described as a janitor at the local post office.
Wow.
And And
now, how big were the league? The leaders were they in a local league?
They played in a Hudson Valley League. So
the range.
They played with up the Hudson. They played teams in Albany. They played Newburgh, Middletown, Poughkeepsie, that sort of thing. The one hallmark of the team was they were all local players. Whereas later on, you've heard the Kingston Colonials, and a lot of those players came from the Valley, from maybe a larger area.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, wasn't a lot of entertainment options. I mean, how successful were these leagues? Like the people, hundreds of people watching them.
Baseball was certainly popular at that time, right? So I thought we'd get some input from Dan. Because Dan really has followed local sports and local baseball for a long time. And he has some good stories about some of the guys that made the major leagues. Dan.
Well, first of all, that was a great article that you did, Peter. It brought back some memories of the start of Major League Baseball. And it's interesting, when I was reading the article, the games back then, of course, were a couple of hours long. And if you look at a World Series game of the past couple of evenings, and it starts at 8:08, and it's after midnight, and you're still watching the game.
That's right.
And I think one of the greatest games that was ever played was the 1960 World Series, and the seventh game of that World Series, the New York Yankees and the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Bill Mazeroski, the second baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates, hit a home run in the ninth inning, and the Yankees lost to the Pirates by the score of 10-9. Now, 19 runs was scored in that game. It was a World Series game, 1960, and the game took, you're not going to believe this, 2 hours and 38 minutes.
Oh, what do you attribute that to?
Well, here's
No pitching changes, right? Or
one of the big things, if you watch the film itself, Major League Baseball, they found the film several years ago. In fact, that's another interesting story. Bing Crosby was one of the owners of the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1960. And Bing Crosby hated to go and watch the Pirates because he didn't want them to lose. So what he did was he was doing a film, I believe, in Europe at the time, and he sent his film crew from Hollywood to Pittsburgh to film that game of the seventh game of the World Series. He got the film and never did anything with it. He put it in his wine cellar, the film of the game.
Good the wine cellar, right? Preserve it.
After Bing Crosby passed away, his wife found the film. There was no other film of that game in Major League Baseball. It was on radio, but they really didn't. They had, if anybody filmed it, they didn't have it.
Wow.
So here was this film in the wine cellar of Bing Crosby out in California. His wife gave it to Major League Baseball, and they've run it. In fact, I think you can go to the internet and watch the game. But to get back to your story, why? Well, first of all, the players, once they got in the batter's box, they never left the batter's box.
Oh, no.
They had no batting gloves. They had no type of protection on their arm or their legs or anything. The other
Stood at the plate.
Stood at the plate. The other thing that was very interesting, if you watched the game, the pitchers basically looked in at the catcher for the sign, and they kind of looked at the batter and said, I'm going to throw you my best stuff. And you know what? If you can hit it, then go for it. And that's what happened. These pitchers, they didn't nip the corner or do this and that.
They didn't have cutters and,
exactly.
Whatever.
And just to show you, 2 hours and 38 minutes. And Nina, to answer your question, that's what's wrong with baseball today. They really need to speed it up a little bit. And in reading Peter's article, I thought back, some of those games probably here in Kingston were, 2 hours? So people paid 25 cents to buy a ticket, and they sat for 2 hours and watched the game.
Well, back in 1883, Myron Allen was the name of the pitcher for the Kingston Leaders. He pitched every single game and every single inning.
Yeah, right. So there wasn't pitching changes.
Yeah. So a couple of names that came to me, Mike Ferraro, of course, probably one of the best known. Mike Ferraro played with the Yankees in 1966 and 68. He also played with the Seattle Pilots, and they became the Milwaukee Brewers. The Pilots moved to Milwaukee for the late 60s, and Ferraro played there in 1969. And also,
now, is that young Mike's dad?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. He played in the Yankees?
It was
no. He said the Yankees.
You're talking about
Ulster uniform.
Yeah, that's his father.
His father.
Yeah, that's his father. Yeah, he played for the Yankees.
Huh.
So Mike attended Kingston High School. Was a great athlete, and in 1972, the city of Kingston had a Mike Ferraro Day at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Now, I was at that game, and what was so interesting, I was working at WKNY. Joe Schuler, who was the general manager at the time, he had an in with one of the guys that headed the PR department at Yankee Stadium. So Joe, just on a whim, said that there's going to be a Mike Ferraro Day at Yankee Stadium, and I want to bring the radio crew down, and what can you do for me? Well, to everyone's surprise, the Yankees never did this before. They let WKNY broadcast the doubleheader.
Oh,
so our own announcers
Oh,
we broadcast.
what an
That's pretty
experience
cool.
that had to
And
be.
From the stadium, wow.
It was so cool. And we sat right next to the Yankee broadcasters. And what the gentleman that was his name was Fred. I can't remember his last name right now. But every couple of innings, Frank Messer came in to do the game with us. Phil Rizzuto came in to do the game with us. Bill White came in to do the game with us. So
That's cool.
it was just a
Oh,
great
what?
day.
Yes.
for Mike Ferraro Day. And of course, Mike, probably his claim to fame, he did manage the Cleveland Indians. A lot of people don't realize that. He had, I think, 40 wins and 60 losses, and he was fired. But of course, everybody remembers the night that he sent Willie Randolph home against the Kansas City Royals. And it was, hey, everybody would have sent Willie Randolph home. Willie was caught at the plate, out. George Steinbrenner went nuts. He asked Dick Hauser to fire Mike on the spot. Hauser, a good friend of Ferraro's, would not. And, the rest is history. So that's some of the things I remember of Mike Ferraro. Another guy, let's not forget about, is Joe Osanio.
Right.
Joe Osanio pitched for the New York Yankees for 2 years. Joe went to Jacksonville University, and he got drafted and played a couple of years with the Yankees, played some minor league with the Montreal Expos and also the Colorado Rockies. But Joe had this knuckleball, and it worked for him coming out of the Yankee bullpen. In fact, several years later, the Boston Red Sox asked him to come up to Fenway Park and pitch batting practice because the Red Sox were in the playoffs, and some of the pitchers.
Negro, who were they facing? Yeah, they're facing the knuckleballers.
The knuckleballer. So
what do they say? Right? How do you catch a knuckleballer? Wait to pick it up when it stops rolling or whatever.
That's the way you do. Knuckleball is tough for the catcher.
I think Joe Osanio's career was affected by a baseball strike.
It was.
That was probably unfortunate for him because he had reached pretty good status, I guess, as a middle reliever.
As a middle reliever, yeah. But, baseball, it's one of those sports. What have you done for me lately? And
short memory, yeah, exactly.
And the other player that I'd like to mention today is Zach Short.
Yeah, Zach, yeah.
How about Zach? I just had an interview with Zach, and he was selected by the Chicago Cubs in the 7th round of the 2016 Major League season, of course, traded to the Detroit Tigers. And Zach had a lot of playing time with the Tigers this year. He
unfortunately bounced around, up and down
a little bit. He did hit 6 home runs.
Really?
He had 6 home runs. He had, I believe it was 21 RBIs, 20 runs scored. And when I interviewed him, Zach's batting average wasn't that good. In fact, your Major League Baseball player, they found a little hole in the strike zone, so he's adjusting. But he made a comment to me that I thought was great as a young ball player of 26 years old. He had said to me, a year ago, if you had said to me, I will be in the major leagues playing quite a few games and hitting 6 home runs, I would have taken that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And now my situation now is I got to get better. He's got a major league glove, so basically I think he'll stay. It's just a matter of how much
tuning up his game. Yeah,
but he's a great defensive player.
He's still on the Tigers. They've kept him, so far through the offseason.
40-man roster, and he'll be going to spring training with the
Tigers.
Wow,
that's awesome.
That's fantastic.
You really have to appreciate his skills because shortstop, center field, they're very major positions in any team. And
cover a lot of territory.
Yeah, you
if
do.
you have that skill and range and arm strength.
And now, you don't hear a lot of, it's just like golfers, a lot of pros don't come out of the northern states. They don't play enough. Not until you go to a southern school can you play year round. So, that's his physical ability. He's born with it, and he's getting it tuned up. So that's great.
In fact, you bring that up. If I had asked you a question, if you had a son that was graduating high school and was a real good baseball player, and you were expecting a college baseball scholarship, where in the United States do you think you would be able to colleges give out the most baseball scholarships? Where do you think that would be?
I would be Florida or Texas, I would say.
Yeah, Florida, Texas.
The Northeast.
Really?
Oh, really?
From Maine.
They got to import players, right?
Maine to Virginia, there's more colleges and universities giving out baseball scholarships.
They got to bring players north to stay competitive.
And Zach went to Sacred Heart University.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But that's where you have the most baseball scholarships.
That's right. He went to Sacred Heart.
Yeah, they got to bring talent up to stay competitive.
And of course, it's the Northeast. They all go south in the late winter, early spring, college teams to play baseball.
Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
What are the chances of becoming a major league ball player when you think of the College World Series in Omaha and it gets such publicity? How hard is it to get to the majors?
It's very hard. In fact, Peter and I were just discussing before we came on the air, there's a statistic out there right now that kind of blows your mind. Every senior high school class that graduates in the United States, so every high school, every senior class, do you have any idea what the percentage is of those seniors that are athletes going on to play Division I, Division II, or Division III?
Less than 1%.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. Gotta be. I mean, 100 high schools won't get one player. We have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, this is Ron Woods. Hi, everybody. I just want to very briefly mention Bud Culleton. Later on, became a judge and lawyer in Kingston. He lived on 178 Main Street. He pitched for the Kingston Colonials 1926. He beat the Pirates, Pittsburgh Pirates, 1-0. Pirates took Bud with them. He pitched in the major league for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Really?
He pitched so well, they took him with them on the bus, and he signed with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Isn't that something?
That's getting drafted in the parking lot.
Yeah.
That's cool.
In fact, that's...
So, I'm sorry, can you just repeat his name? Or
Ron Woods.
Bud Culleton.
Yeah, well, that's Ron Woods on the phone.
Culleton. Many seniors knew Bud. He ran for mayor, was a lawyer and judge in Kingston. In 26, he pitched so well for the Kingston Colonials against the Pirates. They signed him up, put him on the bus, took him with the Pirates.
That's great.
That is a great story.
Ron, I had read where he gave up a professional baseball career to return to Kingston and become a lawyer. Is that true?
And run for mayor. Very popular man. He lived right up on Main Street, 178. Very, very nice man. Very nice man. He passed away, I'd say about 10 years ago. We all like Bud. I think his name should be mentioned.
That is,
That's cool.
Okay, I'll let you go. Good show. I'm listening.
Great.
If you make any mistakes, I'm going to call right in.
All right. Well,
thanks, Ron.
There you go.
Thanks, Ron.
No, I won't. That's a great show. Thank you,
Oh,
everyone.
Yeah, but was he ever elected mayor?
No, he lost the mayor in 1939 to Connie Heisman. Connie Heisman was in for quite a few years.
Yeah.
Culleton did very well, but he didn't win the mayoral election. But very popular as a judge and lawyer in Kingston.
Wow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Bye-bye.
Much safer career being a lawyer than a pro athlete, that's for sure.
In fact, before Ron calls again, we must mention that Paul Runge played
Paul Runge, I remember
for
Paul.
Kingston High School, and he went on to Jacksonville University, and he was signed by the Atlanta Braves, and he played 183 games with the Braves, and also Bill Short was the other player that had a 6-year career starting in 1960. He pitched for the Yankees, the Baltimore Orioles,
the Waynes,
the Red Sox, the Pirates, and the New York Giants.
Related to Wayne Short?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, Post. Danny Post? Didn't he play?
I remember that name,
Yeah.
and apparently he never made the majors.
Yeah, I know. I think he got kicked around in the minors for a while. So, is this analogous, like the leaders? Like, so let's get back to our first premise. Was this like the equivalent to like the Renegades or something? Like, were these farm teams or were these just independent leagues?
It was described as one of the first organized baseball teams.
Teams,
and
which would have been in the first organized league.
So it was 18. Right? It was. I think it was organized in 1879 is when it started, and it was actually the editor and owner of the paper, the Daily Leader, that formed this.
What other professional teams were playing at that time? Were the Yankees around?
I think the main team was the National League, which would have Boston, and I think the Giants were part of that.
Giants was it the Red Sox? Or was another?
It wasn't the Red Sox.
Different.
Well, you had the Boston Braves back then, because the Boston Braves moved from Boston to Milwaukee.
Weren't there an athletics team somewhere that?
You had the Philadelphia Athletics.
Yeah. So those teams were playing.
They played back then, and actually they played against the leaders. The Giants, for example, came up to Kingston and played against the Kingston
like an exhibition,
leaders
a fundraiser,
played against them. I think it's what major league teams did. There's a pretty rich history, I think, Dan, about major leaguers.
Exactly. Well, if you read Ron Wood's book, Babe Ruth came to Kingston. And there's a little piece in there that Ed Murphy, if you remember Ed Murphy from Standard Furniture, Ed was also the president of the Kingston Old Time Baseball Club, Old Timers. And Ed tells a story in Ron's book that the Babe came to Kingston, and Ed Murphy was 11 years old. His father was a police officer, and Ed was allowed to ride on the running board of the car that Babe was in. Babe had dinner with Dr. John Larkin that night, and then he caught the Rhinecliff ferry over to Rhinecliff to take a train up to Albany for his next stop.
Wow,
isn't that yes?
Now, was he playing then, or was he retired, or was?
No, he was playing.
Okay, wow.
He was playing, and in fact, he did not hit a home run. He hit a couple of in batting practice balls into the quarry up at the stadium, but he did not hit a home run. He did not hit a home run that
In the
night.
game, wow, that's cool. Huh.
So you guys make reference to certain books and publications. So the one I'm holding in my hand says More Balls and Strikes, 120 Years of Baseball in New York's Hudson Valley by Charlie Tiano. And then you were saying there was a book written by Ron Woods. Yes.
It tells all about the Kingston's sports players as well as the fairgrounds, which became Dietz Stadium. It's a wonderful book. I don't think there's any more in circulation anymore.
Oh, that's a shame. Yes.
Maybe the library has a copy or two, but it's a great book because it really tells you the history. As Peter in his article alludes to, just the history. Kingston was a great sports town, especially for baseball.
Huh.
Yeah, and here in this book it makes reference to Sorgerties also, which was very rich in baseball and still is.
Yeah,
a
they've
huge
kept it up with the
baseball.
Stallions and
Yeah,
they're going.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which is
And when you think of Sorgerties, you think about their facilities that they have. And I think that's one area where Kingston has fallen a bit short.
Yes.
Through many decades, and that's been baseball fields.
Well, the big thing was when they moved the baseball out of the stadium out to, the town of Ulster, where that baseball field for Kingston High School. But if you remember, years ago, a lot of teams played at Dietz Stadium,
Yes.
Babe Ruth teams, and the Kingston Colonials.
I remember Joe Pepitone came as a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Well, Fred Davey kept, the Kingston Braves alive for so many years, and every year he would bring up a New York Yankee player. I remember Tom Tresh, Joe Pepitone, as you mentioned.
I had a clinic, pass, punt, and kick, but the version of baseball, I forget what it was. They had a clinic for the kids during the day. Then he had his exhibition game. That was cool.
Yeah, the kids loved it. And I remember Lou Piniella coming, and the Kingston Braves would play, and then before the game, the Yankee would be there and sign autographs and teach the young kids in Kingston on how to bat and field.
Yeah.
There's great times.
Yeah.
Great times.
That's cool.
Yeah, it really is. But wonderful. Oh, too bad that book isn't in circulation anymore because, so much of a history of baseball and you don't realize it. Can you get this book by Charlie Tiano, or is that another one that's probably...
I think it's available.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a box of
120
it in
years
his
of
garage,
baseball. Yeah, right.
There's some other interesting follow-ups about names that were on this 1882 team, and one of them was John Forsyth.
Forsyth, yeah.
And the Forsyth family was responsible for giving Forsyth Park to the city of Kingston.
Yeah.
And there's
Clunan.
also a John Clunan.
Yeah, it's
and,
related to the still.
The attorney in
Oh, yeah.
Kingston is related to him. And another, the star catcher on that team back in 1882 was George Johnston and Fred Johnston, who had the Friends of Historic Kingston's.
The Johnston House.
The Johnston House.
Wow.
He's the grandson of George.
And there's still Van Ettens around, there's Whitakers.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
I was just curious, Peter, the article's so good. How did you just get involved in it? Because obviously you did a lot of good research, and it's a great article.
Well, it's interesting. I happened to become interested in it because of this photograph of the team at the 1882 Kingston Leaders with all the players. And it turns out this is in Ron Wood's book. And, the photograph is owned by John Matthews, Jack Matthews, who has a wonderful,
archive.
A lot of great archives of photos. And so Jack was very kind to let me copy that, borrow that, and give him credit for the photo.
Right.
So it just became a focus. And also, for example, in Charles Tiano's book, they talk about Dick Johnston and what a star he was, and how the name is forgotten. Who would remember somebody from that era?
Yeah.
He has a grave site in St. Mary's Cemetery, and a pretty neat stone with crossed bats.
Oh, that's cool.
With
that
his
is.
name below it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we just got about 30 seconds left. Where did that article appear?
The baseball article?
Yeah, the one you wrote.
It's in our archives.
Okay.
We do a monthly newsletter at Friends of Historic Kingston, and I'm happy to send anybody a copy of it.
Is that accessible online?
Yes, it is on.
Through
It
the
is
Friends-
online through Friends.
Through Friends website?
Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much.
Yes, thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Dan, wealth of knowledge, the voice of Kingston sports for quite a while.
I thank you for inviting me, especially Peter, and the article's great. I recommend everybody reading it.
Excellent. Cool. Well,
Thank you so much. Yes.
we'll see you after Thanksgiving. So have a great,
Good
Thanksgiving.
holiday.
We'll see you.
Yes.
See you in December. So great.
Good.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And
All right, Dan,
please
one-
vote, everybody.
Yeah,
Right?
get out and
Don't
vote.
forget
Election
to go out
day.
and vote. And,
All right, Dan.
All right, everybody have a good day.
Thank you. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much, Nina Postupack, Cameron Rylance, and our special guests today, Peter Roberts and Dan Rhinehart. Thank you for being with us today. And you have been with us here at Kingston Community Radio, AM 920 and 92.5 FM, and streaming online at mykcr.org. Talk radio at its best, inspired discussions of, by, and for the community. And this last portion of Kingston Community Radio was brought to you by Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and the community with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park, and also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC. And we invite you to be with us tomorrow. And we're on air every day, 7 to 9 a.m. And until tomorrow, for a Super Wednesday, we wish you every success in growing and developing Kingston and all our neighboring communities. We now return you to Magic 92.5.
Too many hours I've wasted staring at the phone. Sweet old songs, I'm counting on you to bring her back to me. I'm tired of listening alone. Maybe the old songs will bring back the old times. Maybe the old lines will sound new. Maybe she'll lay her head on my shoulder. Maybe old feelings will come through. Or maybe we'll start to cry and wonder why we ever walked away. Maybe the old songs will bring back the old times and make her want to stay. Wanna stay. Well, maybe we'll start to cry and wonder why we ever walked away. It was way past midnight, and she still couldn't fall asleep. This night the dream was leaving. She tried so hard to keep. And with the new day's dawning, she felt it drifting away. Not only for a cruise, not only for a day. Too long ago, too long apart, she couldn't wait another day for the captain of her heart. As the day came up, she made a start. She stopped waiting another day for